Ladies and gentlemen, we begin session 1 on life's purpose by Mr. S. Prakash. Mr. Prakash is the CEO of Sea Change Consulting. He's an author, motivational speaker, researcher, entrepreneur, thought leader, writer, and life coach. May I now hand over the session to Mr. S. Prakash.
Good morning. I don't hear you. People have left there, they should be able to hear you to the tune of 1, 2, 3. You should be heard in the entrance of SR Ministry, right? 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. One of the most fascinating subjects that I always come across, maybe on a slightly negative note to start with, but yet something worthwhile. All of us who are born, we all know where we are going to land up one day. One of the places that we least like to visit, but we don't have a choice but to go there one day. When we look back at our life, or somebody else is going to look after our life, look at us after the life. Born so and so here, passed away so and so here. And in between, there's a small dash which is put there. This dash represents the time that you spent in this world. For many of the people who don't know you, it's say 18 so and so to 19 so and so, 19 so and so to 20 so and so. What are you going to be remembered for when you actually leave? I was long time back during my college days reading the story of Alfred Nobel, one of the biggest, I would say, philanthropist, a person who has served a very noble cause. Accidentally, while he was alive, one day he opened the newspaper and he found his own eulogy. And what was written about his perceived death wasn't much of thing to talk about. People had said that he is the person who invented dynamite. He is the person who is the co-reason or the only reason for many of us to die. And they all said, it's nice he has left. When Alfred Nobel saw this, he was really shaken. He was saying, after all that I have done, all the wealth I have created, is this what I am going to be known for? And apparently that day, he decided to change his life. And then he went in search of whatever gave him a purpose in life. And that's how Nobel Awards were born. Today, to get a Nobel Award is a lifetime achievement for many. The same purpose for which the award was created is the purpose for which the awards are being given. Take any of the great leaders. If you remember, or if I have to ask you to recall the top 5 people whom you remember, most probably you will recall people who have done something to change the society, to change the lives of the people, to change at least the life of a section of the society which really was close to their hearts. When we finally take that leave, one final leap from which we don't come back, what would the world remember us for? At a very lowly level, it's quite easy to set very simple goals like what all of us do. Get educated, get a nice degree, go out, get a good job, get a good check at the end of month, every month, start putting that money into the bank, become rich, maybe one day start a business, become an entrepreneur like many of us have done. At the end of the day, what are you going to be remembered for? Goals really take you to a level which is more of a personal satisfaction. When you look at life's purpose, it's something where the society finally remembers you. Look at the life of Mahatma Gandhi, a person who could have made a very good living as a barrister. But finally, when he gave up all his practice to get into that one single cause which was close to his heart, that we are enjoying even today, the freedom. You take the life of any of the great leaders, take the life of Swami Vivekananda. he was educated in spirituality by his Guru Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And he said, this is a message which has to go to the world. And much against all the odds, including poor health, he traveled to the USA, gave that famous first 9/11 incident, as they call, on the 11th of September 1893, the famous speech that he gave to the religion conference, and then propagated the message of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa throughout the world. Today, anyone whom you can remember, whether it be a vice chancellor, whether it be the chancellor of your university, everyone who had a purpose made a huge difference in their lives. It's quite easy to be carried away by short-term momentum, short-term victories. At the end of the day, at the age of 60, 70, 80, when you have to look back at your life, can you say with satisfaction that this is what I achieved? The marks today might matter a lot. The job that you get at the end of the day, I see a campus interview going on, makes a lot of difference. All these really do matter in the short run. But in the longer run, at the fag end of your life, I mean, it's too early to think, but 8, when you start planning towards that, would you make an impact? Would you make a revolution? Would you make a positive impact on the lives of the people, where at least a few would say that thanks to this person, my life changed? This is exactly what I would call as life's purpose. In the next 24 hours, what you're going to see are tools, tips, techniques, which are going to give you a lot of insights into what can kindle that spirit inside of you. Something that would help you to go out and seek that which normally is not sought. The normal victories, the normal wins, the normal home runs, all that we do are good. What I want to say is that in this batch of 900 people who are going to leave this year, as your Vice Chancellor is saying, if there is one person who goes out and sets the world alight by the effort that you bring in, could be an invention, could be a great creation, could be a novel idea, could be a new concept that you bring in, which really does something which is positive on the society, it's going to make a big difference. The reason why we chose this topic as life's purpose to start with is to put a thought in that each one of us can make a big difference. John F. Kennedy, or rather his brother Robert F. Kennedy, once said, not all people can rewrite history, but a few of us, by the courageous acts of the leap of faith that we take, can make that small changes which would in some way shape the history over a period of time. We can surely make a change if we convince to ourselves that we are capable of making the difference. The topic that I am going to take up next, I am cutting short on the first one because of the shortage of time. We are going to move into one of the interesting concepts, something which always fascinates all of us, the power of mind. With a disclaimer, I am going to start. I want to prove to you that I can read your mind. I want you to do a small mental exercise as I am taking you along. Think of any number between 1 and 9. Multiply that number by 9. Whatever number that you get, add them back as single digit. For example, you thought 5 multiplied by 9, 45, 4 plus 5 becomes 9. Deduct 5 out of that. Now you have a number in your mind. Pick up an alphabet which is equivalent to this. If it is 1, it is A, if it is 2, it is B, if it is 3, it is C, something like that. Done it? Okay. Think of a country which begins with this alphabet. Done? Okay, take this country's name. Take the second alphabet of this country and think of any animal that you can think of. Now, I am sure 9 out of 10 in this room are thinking about Denmark and elephant. Am I right? No big deal. Small, simple mathematics. But anyway, just to start on a funny note. All my programs are interactive. So I'm going to start with a small exercise. I'm sure all of you have notes. Notepad. All of you have. I will ask the person who's sitting next to you to bend a little bit right on the back so that it can act as a souvenir. All of you are familiar with cricket? I don't hear you. Okay, good. We are going to have a design come drawing